Hi, I'm Dr. Roshan Jain, practicing psychiatrist at Apollo Hospitals, Bangalore, and a professor of psychiatry at International Medical School. I have been practicing psychiatry for the last 22 years with extensive experience in psychiatry, addictions, psychotherapy, teaching, and motivational work. Overcoming digital addiction. The use of internet, social media, and electronic communication devices are among the most common activity of today's world. Digital devices such as mobile phone has many characteristics that makes it very attractive to people of all ages. It's primarily a communication tool, but with varied applications such as camera, music, internet, gaming, and social media, it's essentially a world in your pocket. Unsurprisingly, its use has drastically risen with an estimated 5.2 billion mobile phone users worldwide and about 3.8 billion regular users on social media. With such large numbers and such extensive usage, the fear is that are we overusing and becoming too reliant on it? This research and data are already raising alarm bells of a new age addiction. Digital interaction is inevitable in an urbanized, fast-paced, isolated lives, and this has further increased during the pandemic as it aided social connection while being physically distanced to reduce the spread of virus. And with ongoing restrictions, work from home norms, and online schooling and college, the screen time has drastically increased. Mobile phone has connected us more than ever, but also overloaded us with information, mostly unnecessary, about everyone and everything. The swipe and type generation can't do without the world in their pockets and demands instant access to everything. We have been taken over. Repetitive use of personal devices is turning into a compulsive checking, even in social setting or in the middle of a conversation. And with an ever-increasing list of applications on these gadgets, they have become a constant source of distraction. One has to start wondering whether the smartphone has become wiser than the user. Is smartphone use turning into a menace? Are we all addicted? What is digital addiction? Digital addiction mainly covers dependence on internet, social media, and other electronic communication devices. Perhaps it covers dependence on small devices such as mobile phone and large devices such as tablets, laptop, and desktop. And finally, physical withdrawal state wherein a person feels irritated, restless, and agitated when is unable to pursue the behavior or activity, in this case, a mobile phone use. Let's look at the emerging statistics of digital addiction. A Mobile Marketing Association's study reported that on an average, a consumer spends 5 hours per day on smartphone, which surpasses the time spent on TV and other media. Social media and messaging apps account to more than 50% of time spent on these devices, and women spend twice as much time on smartphone compared to men. There are other reports that on an average, a smartphone users tap, swipe, click the smartphone over 2,500 times a day, while the top 10% do this over 5,000 times a day. According to another survey by Wired magazine, 1 in 3 mobile users would rather give up sex for their phones. Finally, a report in Psychology Today estimated that 40% of American population is addicted to smartphone. On top of this, 58% of men and 47% of women suffer from nomophobia, which is a fear of being without your smartphone. Data suggesting that high mobile phone use increases anxiety, and there are other problems such as cyberbullying, sexting, and exposure to inappropriate content. Our personality, our sense of self, and emotional resilience is a consequence of healthy, consistent real-world attachment and interaction. It's what enables development of our coping resources, which is a prerequisite for a harmonious life. Perhaps our increasing resilience on technology-aided interaction is compromising this real-world resource acquisition. We need to turn to real world away from virtual life in order to become more resourceful and be better able to cope with stresses of a life. Spiritual things to do to gain control of yourself. I think this is such a common question where we get asked, why do we need to control ourselves? Well, The need to gain control of ourselves is needed now more than ever. Why is it important? Well, it's important as is one of the commonest problem and the reason for help seeking. Individuals are often overwhelmed, stressed and burnt out with work and life stresses. All the problems are underpinned by one essence, is sense of lack of control. Perhaps we have surrendered ourselves to external elements and technology, to consumptions of food and substances, and to our senses, desires, and unending aspirations. We are either overindulging to the point of obsession or experiencing a sense of guilt and avoidance of the said behavior. Moderation has become such a difficult task. And as we know that anything that is indulged in repeatedly tends to become a habit or takes a compulsive form and inherently goes out of control. Take, for example, food consumption. We either overeat or binge and gorge, or we indulge in dieting to the point of starvation. Another example would be mobile phone use, wherein people have taken to compulsive picking and checking and updating, and this has taken over their waking moments. Another commonest example would be regular drinking of alcohol, which invariably leads to out of control binges and then a state of dependency and addiction. What is self-control? Well, self-control, I think the idea itself is confusing as it can address a mere behavior or the thoughts or perhaps both. Psychological definition of self-control is an ability to control behavior, to delay gratification, avoid temptations, resist unwanted urges, and achieve the goal. These are again targeted to external factors while paying little or no attention to internal processes or triggers. I believe we should think about self-control more holistically and aim at synchronizing the external realities with internal world. For this, we need to look inwards, mobilize our inner resources, and work towards harmonizing thoughts and feelings with our behavior. This brings us to the next point. What is spirituality? Spirituality has varied connotation. Many have found it difficult to separate it from religion and spirituality. To many, it is about having a sense of purpose and direction in life, a sense of connectedness, oneness, or being a part of something. To me, spirituality is nothing but getting to your core, your spirit. It's about getting a deeper awareness of your thoughts and feelings, as that's a prerequisite for serenity, for calmness, and a state of harmony with everything. It's about being self-aware and deeply connected with oneself. There are many ways to attain spiritual harmony. To me, one of the first one being is to write, speak, and introspect. And by this I mean you need to get those thoughts out by writing. Writing brings clarity and can cement your thought processes. And when you commit your thoughts to paper, these are available for reflection at a later date and at your leisure. So write to get clarity. Next, you can get those thoughts by venting or speaking. As we all know, the speaking unburdens, brings greater clarity and deeper understanding of oneself. And when one speaks their own mind and hear their own thought processes, then it can bring a clarity like none other. We often advise that for deeper introspection and reflection, you must consider speaking to a mental health professional, a professional who is trained to listen, a professional who has deeper understanding of emotions and a deep interest in human suffering and difficulties. And when you talk to such a person, then you can be guided into getting a deeper understanding of yourself. Next, to leave your comfort zone. And by this I mean you need to travel. This may be paralyzing for some, as uncertainty of traveling can be anxiety provoking. But try and remember always that the magic happens when you step out. So travel more, as the experience can do wonders for your growth and relatedness. Travel can give you the time to rest, reflect, and rejuvenate. Additionally, it will allow you to identify and weed out stresses and get back on track to a very harmonious previous life. And when possible, travel alone, choose serene activities, meditate, and even, if possible, take a vow of silence. The agenda should be to return refreshed and renewed. Next one would be to be positive. Might seem simplistic, but think about it. In order to be positive, it is important to acknowledge negative emotions, as avoidance of the negative thought processes will only make it worse, becoming more potent and lasting longer. And as you know, that acknowledgement is a prerequisite to acceptance and change. When you eliminate negativity, and negative sources of energy and negative thought processes and reframe how you think of certain things and situation, you will notice yourself being more positive, relaxed, and in a happier place. So how can this be done? Well, try and observe the negative emotions and associated physical sensations. Make no judgments, have no opinions about it, and allow these negative emotions and thought processes to pass unhindered. In other words, be mindful. For those who have not tried, I would strongly recommend yoga. Yoga is a time-tested physical technique that can help improve your strength and flexibility. Above all, spiritual wellness by mindfully performing a series of dynamic and static postures. While doing it, be deeply observant of the body parts and its functions. Yoga can recalibrate emotional and physical strains on your mind and body alike. In addition, yoga is known to lower stress levels, boost immune system, lower blood pressure, as well as reduce anxiety, depression, fatigue, and insomnia. Yoga deals with illness as well as contributes to wellness. In short, it helps attain a sense of harmony. Next, I would recommend each one of you to meditate. Meditation can help you cultivate an ability to focus on things that matter and empty your mind of the irrational clutter. Being mindfully calmer from the outset will allow a deeper perspective on evolving moments or situations. An ability to focus better can enable you to be better at work, at study, in your relationship, or the conversations you might be having. Meditation, to me, enables people to better introspect and reflect on their abilities and potential. So meditate more if possible. Meditate at least twice a day and when necessary. And ideally, I would suggest you meditate first thing in the morning for 15 minutes and first thing or last thing in the night for 15 minutes before you sleep. Next, I would recommend everyone to explore your spiritual core. And by exploring your spiritual core, you are simply asking yourself questions about the person you are and the meaning you have in your life. So in summary, there are many ways of getting spiritual control of yourself. To me, we need to keep it simple. We need to write, speak, and introspect to get those thoughts out on paper, to get thoughts out in conversation, and to get a deeper understanding of oneself. We need to leave our comfort zone, travel more to understand our place in this world. We need to be positive, and for that we need to get awareness of the negative emotions, and the positivity will emerge. We need to try yoga and meditation to get a spiritual harmony with ourselves, with our body, and with our mind. We need to explore our spiritual core by asking ourselves pertinent questions and consider engaging in talking or psychotherapy to get a deeper introspection and perspective of ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, and our lives. This is a real concern among many of us, as we now know that our mobile phone use has exceeded our own expectations. Most of the mobile phone now come with an application called Screen Time, and many of us are monitoring that and are surprised that the mobile phone use are in excess of 3 to 5 hours per day. This can be worrying. The statistics can also be obtained about the number of times you picked up the phone, the apps you accessed, and the number of times you accessed each of those apps. Now, mobile phone addiction is not listed in the diagnostic manual yet many of the studies are pointing to the risk of this new age digital addiction. So how does one recognize whether you are addicted to mobile phone or not? Digital addiction is understood on the same behavioral basis as most other addiction and is characterized by 4 principal features, which are called the 4 C's, which stands for compulsion, craving, loss of control, and continuation. A compulsive manner of pursuing a behavior or an activity, craving to engage in the activity, in this case mobile phone use, difficulties in controlling the amount and frequency, and continuation of use despite adverse effect on work and life. There are other features which includes prioritization of behavior over other more important activities and obligations, development of tolerance, which is a need to use the activity more and more so to achieve the same desired effect or satisfaction. And finally, physical withdrawal state, which is characterized by feeling irritable, restless, and agitated when unable to access the said activity or phone, or when you're away from the phone. So if one is experiencing 3 or more of these features in the last month and is present at variable times during the last year, then you can start to worry that this might have turned into a digital addiction or a mobile phone addiction. Try and turn your FOMO into JOMO, which is fear of missing out, be turned into joy of missing out. Limit checking of social media, as this will allow you for more time with yourself and less with comparison and mindless updating and forwarding and sharing of information. Next, I would advise everyone to unplug to reconnect. Sometimes we just need to switch off. Consider unplugging your devices, much in the line with UK's largest digital detox movement, the National Unplugging Day, which is celebrated on 25th June each year. This is a gadget-free day of celebration and fun, wherein everyone comes together and breaks free from the technology to reconnect with themselves and those they love. Perhaps in the modern day and age, we need to do this once a month, if not once every week. Above all, reconnect with nature, choose real-world activity, and see the world through your eyes rather than via the small screens in your hands.